So welcome again. For those of you that don't know me, or maybe you're brand new to our community, I want to say welcome. My name is Nick Martinez. I live out in Minnesota, where it was hot today. It was like 93 degrees, so it was amazing. We actually got to go spend a little time at our lake cabin and get some sun in between Zoom calls and in between phone calls and Facebook posts. So it's been a crazy, amazing day, but I really want to take the next 30 or so minutes to go through some basics of social media. And these things are really, you're gonna, as you're listening to this, you're gonna be like, it's not rocket science. He's not telling us the secret. He's not telling us what he's really doing. But what you're gonna find is that everything that I talk about is something that you can do. Everything that we talk about, and you're gonna hear from some other ladies, is something that they've been doing. And as a result are seeing massive amounts of people become customers and become promoters every month as a result of Facebook, as a result of social media. So my background is I used to be an airline pilot. I had no background in social media. When I joined Prove It, I had 200 friends, maybe even less than that. And I posted once a month because my mom would call me and say, Nick, I don't see any pictures of your kid. She's growing up and I can't see her. You need to put this on Facebook. So I would go to my phone and I would figure out how to post so that I could show mom pictures of Callie. Right? That was me. So here we are, fast forward 4.5 years, and we've created a substantial following. We've been able to utilize social media and Facebook and different platforms to really create an amazing business. And I look back on it, and if you think, okay, what is it that I did to create this? There's really a few simple things that it boils down to. And if you get really focused and really consistent at these things, you're going to find that you can create whatever you want with social media. The one thing I will say is this is not an overnight get rich in your business, or it's not an overnight, hey, I started doing Facebook, so I better have 100 customers this month. No, it's something that if you've heard my story, for 18 months, I learned what we were doing. I was consistent. I did it every day, and I did not have a result, meaning I did not sign up people as a result of our social media page. However, after those 18 months of learning, of being consistent, of trial and error, of creating more value than I was asking for in return, it started to catch up, right? So that's a lot of what we're going to talk about. Before I go any further, though, I want to introduce you to some amazing ladies who are going to be sharing as well. And the reason that I picked these, I know we have a ton of social media rock stars on in our community, and there's tons of you who could do a training probably better than this. I just happened to be in communication with some of these ladies yesterday and today, and I'm like, hey, would love for you to share what you're doing because I've been really impressed. So the first one I want you to hear just from really briefly, her name is Stephanie Pennington, and Stephanie's super awesome, lives out in Oregon. And a year ago, I remember talking to Stephanie, and she was kind of at the point, she's like, Nick, what's the secret? What can I do? And I remember giving Stephanie some action steps and just saying, you need to do this consistently. Stephanie, if you want to come off mute real quick, in the month of April or the month of May, how many new customers and promoters did you personally enroll?
Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Awesome. So April, I did 32 customers and 4 new promoters. And in May, we're in June. May, it was 20 new customers and 4 new promoters.
That's awesome. So let me ask you this. In 2 sentences or less, what's your secret to success?
That's it, 2 sentences. Just being consistent, like following what you tell me to do. Consistency is key. Before, I was told that forever. Okay, I need to do a sentence. Consistency, be excited, and and build relationships, really. Just be active every single day.
Awesome. Now, a year ago, were you putting in 20 or 30 people a month?
No, no. I thought I was doing what I should be doing, but no, not even close.
Awesome. Well, thanks for sharing. You're going to hear more from Stephanie and kind of what she's doing to absolutely crush it. But it's fun because I'm in some private text chats with her and a few other people, and she'll say, hey, I just signed up one. We became friends 18 months ago, and she's been following me since then, and she just got started with ketones. And like, you hear it once, you're like, okay, that's cool. And then you hear it again and again and again and again. It's just really powerful. So next person that I want to introduce you to is Ashley Cooper. And Ashley is, you've probably seen her in our Facebook group. She posts kind of our social media roadmap every other week with Chrissy, my wife, and she is just an absolute rock star. Ashley, what's one thing that you've kind of learned over the last few years? First off, were you a social media rock star when you joined Prove It?
No, I was horrible.
You were horrible. Okay. So if you feel like, hey, I'm horrible, I don't do anything, you can do this. And what do you think your like one key to success so far has been?
Consistency.
Awesome.
And adding value.
And adding value. Okay. And Ashley's going to add a lot of value to you guys here in just a few minutes. Where do you live, Ashley? What's your background real quick?
I live in Kingwood, Texas, like right outside of Houston. And then I am a mom of a 22-year-old. I'm like, how old is she now? She just turned 22. And then a 13-year-old boy. And then in September, I'll be a stepmom to another 13-year-old boy.
That's awesome. So, congratulations.
And I worked full time at an architecture firm, and December 31st was my last day, and I do Prove It full time now. And I've been with Prove It for about 3.5 years.
That's awesome. What made you decide to learn social media?
Well, I was working at the architecture firm, and I thought, I can't see people in person, because it was just a small firm and there was like 6 guys. And I thought, I really like this product. How am I going to reach people? And it just occurred to me that I could do it on social media because after work, I didn't really feel like I had the time or the energy to go do like parties or that kind of face-to-face stuff. So I just started with social media.
And what would you say, how did you learn it?
Really, I just followed a bunch of people that I felt like their stuff looked good, and just kind of did it from there. At first, I got all those little things in my newsfeed, like you always talk about, people sign up for this magical course, and I did sign up for like 2 of those, and I never finished them. I think I did like a day of them, and I was like, man, why did I spend my money on that? But anyway, I just learned from the community and from plugging in and just watching other people that were having success, honestly.
I like it. Well, yeah. I mean, that is key here. There's a lesson in that. We'll talk about that in a minute. Thank you, Ashley. Next one that you're going to get to hear from tonight again is Melissa Butler. And Melissa, why don't you give us real quick your background and maybe a little bit about your journey with Facebook.
Sure. Hey, thanks for having me on.
Hey.
So I have been with Prove It just over 2 years. I'm on Ashley's team, and I'm a mom. I have a 5-year-old, a 3-year-old, and a 6-month-old. I used to be a teacher and an elementary school counselor, and then when I got pregnant with baby number 3, I took a leap of faith and decided to stay home, and now Prove It is my source of income that I bring to my family, so that's pretty awesome. But before Prove It, I was just a consumer on social media. I maybe posted kind of like you did, Nick, like once a month. I wasn't real active. I didn't have a huge following of friends, maybe 400 or 500 from high school, college, work, but I didn't really put a lot out there on social media. But now over time, I've learned to just simply share more of myself with people and begin to engage and grow my network. And it's a lot of fun.
Let me just ask you this. How many friends do you have now? Do you know?
I think about 2,700.
Okay. Very cool. So I just wanted to give you a quick snapshot because these are 3 very different people. They live in different parts of the country. They're different demographics. Stephanie and Ashley are a little bit older than Melissa and myself. I happen to be a dude. So it doesn't matter what demographic you are in. There are people out there that they want to be friends with you. They want to know what you're doing. They want to be part of your journey, right? So one of the things that you're going to learn here, and you just said it, Melissa, and I really like that you said this because it's my favorite concept. is, are you a creator of content or are you a consumer of content? I heard this long ago. I think it was even, might have been before Prove It, but I remember somebody saying you can either create it or you can consume it. It's tough to do both. You can still consume a little bit, but if you're going to create, that is what people are consuming. So I realized that if I wanted people to follow me and want to see what I was doing, I had to create something for them to watch or for something for them to be part of. Or I just had to open a little bit of a door and let them be my friend, let them into my life. If you think about it, most of us treat social media like my 6-year-old when she was 4 would go to the park. So picture this, like there's a park right next to our house. It's a fun park. It's got this big climbing jungle thing. It's got a couple slides. It's got swings. My 6-year-old, when she was 4, Callie, would go to the park. And if there were like maybe some 5 or 6 or 7-year-olds there, she would stand kind of like right kind of in the middle of the park and just stare at them. She'd just look at them. And I'm like, honey, go play. But she was just nervous or she was shy or whatever, but she would just stare at them. And some of us do that on Facebook. You don't, because no one can see you. It's like she has her invisible glasses on in the park and none of these kids could actually see her. So she could just stand there and stare at them as long as she wanted. Well, when you're on your phone and you're just going like this and all you're doing is reading everybody else's posts and you're liking them and commenting them, but you're never sharing anything of you. It's like you just going like this to everybody in the park. So when people say, I don't want to share what's going on in my life, I'm like, well, you're sure happy to read about everybody else's life. It's time to let them have a relationship with you. Because if you don't let them in, they're never going to know who you are. They're never going to like you. They're never going to trust you. They won't know you. So social media is no different than going to the park. It just happens to be a park in Cyberland. And thankfully we have this right now since we've all been cooped up for the last number of months. But think about this. If all she would have done when she was 4 is go up to the big kids and say, hey, my name's Callie, can I play with you? They would have said yes, and they would have started having fun. So as you start putting yourself out there a little bit, you start having fun on social media, guess what? The people that are your friends, like they may be judging you, but generally it's more like, oh, wow, look what she's doing. Oh, this is cool. Chrissy, my wife, used to work at a company called The Nerdery, and one of their sayings there was assume positive intent. Most people want to be positive. Most people want to be nice. Most people, when they scroll feeds, aren't just sitting there judging everything. They're just consuming it. They're just like, oh, that's interesting. Oh, they might have an opinion, but it doesn't necessarily matter, right? Most people are excited to see what your life is, especially if you share it in a positive environment. So we're going to go through a couple things today, just like concepts behind social media and a couple consistent things that you can do on a daily basis to ensure that you start to build a following, that you start to create this concept of know, like, and trust. And that over time, your friends on Facebook actually are like, oh yeah, I'm friends with you. I like you, right? So before I get into that, the last thing that I want you to kind of think about is this analogy of a piggy bank. And I should have brought my kids' piggy bank down here, but picture this as your porcelain piggy bank, right? It's my Drink Ketones Challenge box. And every time, I used to give my kids quarters when they would do something that was like maybe they put the dishes away. So I'd give Callie some quarters. She's always taking her quarters. She's putting them in the top of her piggy bank, right? And then how do you get quarters out of a piggy bank? Usually it's this bottom thing right here. You pull out the little plug and you try to shake it out. So as we go through today, as I go through some of these concepts, I want you to think about, am I putting quarters into my piggy bank when I do this, or am I taking them out? Here's what I mean, and this can be expanded into all 3 parts of our framework here, but the thing is, if I'm posting on social media and I'm providing some sort of value, or I'm entertaining, or I'm sharing a glimpse into my life, I'm adding money to my piggy bank, meaning I'm putting a quarter in. If I'm posting about Prove It, I'm posting about ketones, I'm posting about the Drink Ketones Challenge or the reboot, I am taking a silver dollar out, right? If I'm following up and I'm asking somebody for something, I am taking a silver dollar out. If I'm commenting on one of their posts, if I'm engaging with friends, if I'm saying happy birthday, I'm putting money into my piggy bank. You want to make sure that there's more money in here than you're taking out. So this is the long-term vision, because what can happen in the very beginning, and maybe you had this experience, when people get started, they put up a post, they get 12 comments. They're like, oh my gosh, this is going to work. They put up another one, they get 15 or 20 comments, or maybe it runs and goes bananas and they get 30 or 40 comments, right? And then a month later, they put up a very similar post and they get 2. And then 3 months later, they put it up and they get 0. Can anybody relate? I see a handful of you nodding. That's because what you've done, generally speaking, is you've taken the thing out, you've taken your silver dollar out, silver dollar out, silver dollar out, silver dollar out. Pretty soon you've got the hammer out and you're beating the piggy bank to smithereens looking for every last cent that's in there. What did you stop doing? You stopped putting money into it, right? You stopped growing those relationships. You stopped engaging with the people that you were engaging with before. You stopped adding value in your posts. And now when somebody goes to your wall, they look, they see prove it, 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 and they no longer engage with your stuff. Facebook now thinks you're no longer friends. Facebook doesn't show you their posts or doesn't show them your posts. And before you know it, you're like, where did all my friends go? Well, it'd be, you basically went to that park and were trying to play with people, but just were only doing your thing. You weren't engaging with others. So think about that analogy today as we go through some of this stuff. It will definitely help you. You'll hear things like the word algorithm and different like Facebook land speak. My goal is to really create this as not how does the computer think, but really the computer is designed in order to create as realistic of a situation as possible, as realistic of a social environment as possible. So if you just get back to how do I add value, how do I do these different things, you're going to find that you're beating the algorithm without having to worry about that kind of language. So let's dive in. I want to break down what we do on a daily basis into 3 categories. And if you understand these categories, you can absolutely go through and crush Facebook, crush social media just by focusing on these 3 things. It is this simple. So if you have a paper out or a pen out, I want you to write down post, grow, and engage. And you might take some notes under each of those. So however you want to do that, post, grow, and engage. Our social media is you're posting, meaning you're letting people see your life or what you're doing. You're adding value through that. You're posting either on your wall or on your stories. Meaning you're growing your network. You heard to say she started with 400 to 500 friends. Now she has 2,700 friends. So she has grown her network. There's different ways to do that, different methods to it. And then you're engaging. Engaging is key. I've met people who have 27 friends, but they put a post up and they get 1 comment or they get 1 like. Why is it? Because they have not engaged with anybody that they're friends with. So Facebook, their algorithm says, oh, they must not actually be friends. And when you post, Facebook doesn't show your post to anything. So engaging is very, very important. We're going to talk about that. So let's go ahead and dive right in. We're going to talk about posting. Now, right now on Facebook, we're going to kind of focus on Facebook. I realize there's other platforms you can apply this information to some of the other platforms, but let's just focus on Facebook. On your wall, which is when you go and post, you want to post 1 to 3 times a day. Any more than that, it might be overdoing it, but 1 to 3 is fantastic. On your story, you want to post 3 to 5 tiles on your story, or 3 to 5 tiles. And we're going to talk specifically about posts and tiles here in a second. What do you post about? And this is the most common question that I get, somebody that's new to social media. Nick, how do I add more value? What can I post about? Chrissy and I have had this conversation over the last couple of weeks. She likes to say, like, what are your lanes? If somebody were to scroll your feed, would they know you? Who are you? And there's a great exercise that you can do. If you just take a computer sheet of paper like this, put 2 lines on it, and then in the first line box, you can write me. In the second one, you can write goals and dreams. And then in the third one, you can write prove it and ketones. And show you this like that. So me, goals and dreams, and then prove it and ketones. And we're not going to take the time to do this right now. However, if you really are intentional about your social media, do this tonight, or take 5 minutes, 10 minutes. And what you end up doing is I want you to write everything that describes you. What is this me category? Is it, I like dogs. I like what kind of dogs? You talk about your dogs. Okay. I like food. I like baking. I like golf. Me, I own a lake cabin. I have 2 girls. I have girls that are in dance class. I have girls that like to play soccer. I love to travel. I love to read books. I love real estate investing. All of those things are areas that describe me. Have fun with this. Get detailed with this. Get specific. I'm going to tell you what to do with it in a second. Goals and dreams. This is one that people generally don't do. They generally don't think about it because we've been really taught not to talk about our goals. We've been taught not to dream, right? But inside of Prove It, like, what are your goals? What do you want out of this business? What do you want out of life? What are some of the things you'd love to accomplish? Where would you like to travel? What are some of your dream vacations? What would you like to do when your kids go to college? I could go on and on and on and on and on. But
It doesn't matter what pin, just a pin.
And the more that you spend time on that, the more things that you're going to have to post about later. Prove It in Ketones. This can be a massive category. If you eat keto, you can have a whole nother area on here for like my keto eating, and you can talk about food. But Prove It and Ketones. What are your favorite benefits? What are all of the benefits that you've received? Every single benefit that you have can be a Facebook post. Prove It in Ketones. What do you love about our community? What do you love about this business? What are you most excited about with the business? Why do you love sharing this? Ketones. What are your favorite flavors? How do you like to mix them up? I did a couple lives yesterday drinking Heart Tart blended with frozen strawberries and almond milk. It's incredible when you blend this with frozen strawberries, almond milk, and some ice. It's like a sorbet. You can eat it with a spoon. People go bananas for it. So things like that. What other like keto recipes have you made that you enjoy with the ketone drinks? Like describe every little bit of this, and the more detailed you get, the more fodder or the more like capital you have for your posts as you go. So this is a huge way to basically get yourself ideas. The reason that I want you to put it on paper is because when you go to post, guess what usually happens? Like, oh, I can't think of anything. Oh, you go brain dead, right? So if you have this, now you're able to just say, oh, I'm going to talk about that today. Or, oh, I'm going to talk about that today. Now, remember, I said that every time you do some sort of great post, you're putting a quarter into your piggy bank. Every time you add value, every time you talk about Prove It or Ketones, you're taking a silver dollar out. How many quarters are in a silver dollar? 4. So you need to put 4 value posts for every Prove It post that you're taking out. So from this sheet, this is the Prove It side. 1 of these for 4 of these, right? Usually we have the ratios backwards. Remember that. I want out of 5 posts, 4 of them need to come from these 2 categories. So if you're looking at your Facebook page today and you scroll through there, if I were to audit it, meaning I were just to go there and scroll, and all I saw was Prove It, 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 your piggy bank is out of money, right? So think about that as you're posting with these. So I'd love for, let's see, Stephanie, I'd love for you to share regarding posting. Talk to me about some of the things that you post about, and talk to me about how you get your ideas and how you get more engagement on it.
Yeah, absolutely. So I used to be one of those that just would post a lot, and I've learned not to from you. So I've learned just to share my life. Like I make sure that I go out for a walk on the beach every single day, and I share about my walk on the beach. I'll do a live, or I'll share a picture of me with walking on the beach, so people know that I love the beach. I share about our pugs. People love our pugs. I make fun posts of, they're laying in the sun, or I'm talking to them, or whatever it is. They know about my pugs. I also, I always have my my ketone shirt on. I don't always talk about it. I always have my shaker bottle that is just a white looking water bottle with ketones in it, and I always have it with me wherever I go. So I kind of sprinkle those in there with that. And I do, a lot of times will create a post, like if I'm walking on the beach, How do you start your day? This is how I started my day. Got some fresh air, walked on the beach. This is our dog. She loves the sun. What do your dogs love to do? Do your dogs love the sun? You know, engaging that way, asking questions really helps a lot too. And then just being real and being you, sharing your life, whether it's good or not so good. But I've learned to also post of not, you know, just being real, like we've had a down day, but it's how you post about it. You don't go post all negative about it, but you just, you know, kind of share your emotions of how your day was. And then you can just say, hey, you know what, have you had a bad day today? Or how do you get out of that? And then just engage, asking questions that way. Another one that I've done really every now and then, I'll just say, hey, if you can describe me in 1 or 2 words, what would they be? So I post that because I want to see if people know me. And it's always ketones, my pugs, my walk on the beach, or whatever. So I'm getting it out there that people know me, a lot about me that I, you know, that's kind of just putting a pull out there to make sure that I'm doing, you know, that as well. And then I engage on other people's posts, but
I like it.
I do that consistently every single day.
Well, that's perfect. Thank you. I wrote down questions. She asks a lot of questions when she posts to create engagement. That's one of those things that if you ask people questions, they will engage on your post, which says to Facebook, hey, these people are friends, right? That's how Facebook says that, oh, they're commenting. I better show more of Stephanie's posts to this person because they like what she's doing. Another thing that I wrote down, and Stephanie's very good at this, is the me part. Like, she's got it pretty well defined. So people that are following Stephanie know who Stephanie is. Right? They know that she likes to go walk on the beach. They know that she has dogs, that she likes pugs. They know that she likes to hike. They know that she likes to do outdoor things. Guess what? She's attracted a lot of people like her as a result. So Ashley, I'd love for you to take us through a little bit more of the mechanics or the nuts and bolts of posting. And like what would I post on my wall versus my story? And do I have to do a video? Can I just do text? Should I do pictures? How does that work?
Yeah. Well, usually the rule of thumb, if you're using Facebook, that I go by is to try to use as many tools as Facebook offers, because obviously they have them there for a reason. So if you want to just do like a text, how they have the little word blocks, you know, does everybody kind of know what I'm talking about? You can put the colors, and you can just do your text in the Facebook provided word block instead of just doing your own, like through something else. Or like I'll tag myself wherever I am. I'll put the little feelings. That's an option. So basically just using their tools that they've already provided. And then things that I'll put in my story would be, like, I like to use polls a lot so that people are interacting with me and answering a question. I'll put transformations in there, and I try to make it just like how you would a story that you were reading and have it have a flow. So
Awesome.
kind of.
Awesome. So do you go live every day on your page?
Oh, no. I know you're going to die. I hate to go live. Like, I really do not like it. But I think that people that do, I really admire you. And I think keep doing it. And someday I will get there.
Awesome. So the reason I asked her that question is because I know she doesn't.
Yeah.
But you don't have to in order to be able to utilize Facebook, right? Live is a tool in Facebook, but it's not the end all be all. There are other ways, and Ashley has grown very, very fond of using those other ways and does it successfully. So a live is something that if you want to throw in there and start doing more of, Facebook loves it when you do them. However, it's not the end all be all. And sometimes we force people to go live when they shouldn't, right? Because if it's not a successful feeling and you don't love doing it, you want to start to gradually move into that as your comfort zone. I would much rather you consistently post a static picture or a video and create great content than be super nervous and not want to do it every day. So just keep that in mind. Thank you. Melissa, talk to us a little bit about how you utilize the story, what you put on there, and kind of how can you use that for both your personal like engagement and value, plus for selling ketones or sharing ketones.
Yeah, so I started to get more comfortable using my stories just probably about 6 months ago or so. And what I use my story for is just kind of like the normal daily stuff going on in my life. I'm a mom, and so everything about my life is my 5-year-old, my 3-year-old, my 6-month-old. So there's lots of pictures of my kids. If we go for a walk to the park, I might do a little boomerang of them going down the slide, just kind of sharing my daily life and truly just kind of telling a story with it about our day. And I find that I used to think, well, you know, people probably don't want.
Did she just freeze for everybody else?
Yeah, she did.
Okay.
I was on a little thing with her earlier, and she was kind of having some internet issues.
Okay. You want
But
to continue where she left off there, Ashley?
yeah. So Melissa does a great job with her stories. Like she was saying, whatever she's doing with her girls for the day, she'll do little clips of it. So she'll show them maybe making a recipe or going on a walk or playing at the playground. And then she'll throw some ketones in there, like maybe at the end, her shaking up her drink, like, yay, drinking my mom fuel to get me through this day. I just cleaned, 3 bathrooms in my house. So she just kind of integrates it all within her day, not just ketones. And I learned a lot about stories from her. She uses like all the little tools that are available, like the polls and stickers, and you can add music, and it's just kind of fun to go play around with. And don't worry about, playing around, because you can always delete it. And it's a good way to learn how to use this. Yeah.
How would you say you got good at doing stories?
Just by practicing. Like, I didn't have anyone just sitting there like, okay, now do this, do that. Everything is just kind of practicing and deleting.
Perfect.
I love to delete.
You love to delete. I like it. All right. The moral of the story when it comes to posting is consistency. Consistency. Sometimes you'll put up a post, you're like, oh, this is going to be amazing, everybody's going to like it, and it's going to get lots of comments, and you get 0. And sometimes you put something up, they're like, oh, this is dumb, I'm just putting it up because I have no time and I can't think of anything else, and all of a sudden it goes bananas. You can't predict it. Part of it is you, and it just happens to be the words and the time of day and whatever. The other part is Facebook. So I want you to give yourself a pass and don't mess up good for perfect. And I want you to commit, if you're up for it, if you really want to grow your business and you want to utilize social media, commit to posting once a day on your Facebook page and commit to 3 tiles a day on your story. Like, that's just, let those be a minimum. And actually, like, if Facebook's a real stretch for you and you're like, I don't even do anything right now, then let's commit to 1 post on your wall a day, right? And then let's worry about the story after you've got that post up. But I'm telling you, if you can start committing to that, and then you look at your sheet, or one of the things in our Facebook group, every week there's a social media roadmap. If you go there right now, it's an announcement post, and Chrissy or Ashley each week put up like 15, 20 different ideas for both personal posts and life posts and ketone posts. So if you're not utilizing those and you need ideas, that's a great place to start. The other thing is start getting a little bit out of your comfort zone. And if you're somebody that is not comfortable and you don't love putting your face on Facebook, you need to start putting your face on there. I've been coaching a lot of people through posting their first post, brand new promoters who have never posted before, like, Nick, what do I post? And it's generally me saying, all right, you have to take, in fact, I see Michelle here and she'll nod because I made her take a picture of herself with a smile and a selfie. But guess what? With that post, Michelle, you got some new customers, didn't you? Yep. So your face is important. it's interesting, our eyeballs have like human recognition software in them, right? So like you have pretty smart computers out there that have facial recognition. Your phone now can recognize your face. Well, guess what? We have the most powerful facial recognition machine in our brain. And Facebook is called Facebook because of faces. So if your face is not on there, people are not seeing you. People connect with eyeballs, they connect with faces. And if they see your face, whether you like it or not, they will resonate, they will relate, and they will become more friendly with you as a result. If I oftentimes will go to somebody's Facebook page, maybe it's a new person that I'm connecting with, trying to answer questions and help them get some ketones, and I'll try to find out who are they, so that I have some frame of reference for when I'm talking, or when I'm talking to them on the phone and I don't know what they look like, I like to know who I'm speaking to. Well, sometimes I have to scroll for 20 minutes in order to find a picture of them. I can't figure out who they are, right? Because maybe it's self-confidence or whatever it is. So I give you permission to not be perfect. I give you permission to put yourself out there as you are. And I tell you, if you do, you're going to inspire other people. You're going to find other people that are watching that are like, oh, you know what? Man, you inspire me. I couldn't do what you're doing. They're like, oh, it's actually not that hard. I just went like this and hit the button. I have one of these little pop socket things on the back of my phone, and I just have to hold it like this now. But I'm telling you, that is absolutely paramount. It's key. One of the things we always say is your profile picture should be a picture of your profile, not your profile, but of your face, not necessarily of your cat, your dog, your plant, whatever the heck is up there right now. So number one thing, go back and check your profile picture, make sure it's a picture of you. All right, we could go on all night on that. But if you start and you just start to look at what's working, follow some of the people on here that you see are doing really well on Facebook and start seeing what they kind of things that they post, and just start to figure it out as you grow. The second piece is engage. The second piece is grow. And growing is important. If you stay where you're at, you're gonna eventually have some of the people that are currently following you become part of Prove It as customers or promoters. But if you really want to create growth, if you really want to create change in the world with ketones, you have to start to grow that network. So let's see, Miss Melissa pop back on here yet? I don't think she did.
I'm here.
Oh, you're here. All right. Let's start with you because you kind of got cut off. But what are some things, how have you grown from 400 friends to 2,700 friends? What are you doing on a consistent basis in order to achieve that?
Sure. So every day I consistently add a handful of friends to my Facebook. And I try to do that every single day. And I do that in a couple different ways. Sometimes I do just look through my suggested friends and I look to see what do we have in common? Who do we know? If we have several mutual friends, I'll kind of go and check it out. And it might be that we went to college together or we graduated from the same high school. It might be that we worked together at a school district at one point. And so I used to be afraid of that. I used to be afraid of adding new friends. I thought, well, what are they going to think this stranger adds them? But I have found that a lot of people enjoy the connection. A lot of people are really positive about that. And like you said earlier, they're not necessarily really judging you. They're excited to grow their network as well. So I do that, but then I also engage in groups. That's something I didn't used to do before. I'm in mom groups. I'm in gardening groups. I'm in recipe groups for low carb. I'm in doodle groups, all kinds of groups. And I try to engage in those groups as well. I try to create content in there. If I've created a nice low carb lunch, I might post it. And then engage with people in the comments and asking questions, being curious. When I start to engage with people and ask questions in groups and kind of build some relationship back and forth, then it's not quite as intimidating to ask that person to be my friend and then continue to build a relationship by commenting on things that they post and on their profile and those kinds of things over time and just building relationships. So I've just gotten more bold and more confident in allowing myself to go for it, to try to make friends through social media. So that's just something, it was kind of a fear thing at first, but I've gotten over that quite a bit.
That's awesome. Let me ask you, when you send them a friend request, let's just say Facebook says, oh, you should be friends. You see you have some mutual friends. Do you just click add friend or do you message them after you do it? What's your method?
It depends. So a lot of times I will maybe like comment on a picture they've posted or their most recent post and engage with them. One thing that I do, I didn't mention the first time, was when I will post something in a group, I might ask a question, or I might say something like, you know, feel free to follow me. I love sharing recipes. I love connecting. And then when I receive friend requests, I always message people. So if I receive a friend request from someone I don't know, then I simply say, hey, thank you so much for the friend request. I'm happy to add you. Tell me a little bit about you. I'm a mom of 3 girls, and I love, eating low carb, lazy keto, and sharing recipes. And I'll just send that. And I almost always, I would say 80% of the time, I get back a really nice message with someone saying, hey, I saw that recipe you posted and thought we could share recipes. And at that point I say, oh, cool. So do you do the diet? Do you do the drink? Do you do both? And that kind of opens up the conversation for me to begin kind of sharing my story with people too. So I do always try my best to message and engage and start building a relationship from the beginning.
I love that. Now you're saying recipes. Do you cook live? Do you share pictures? What do you mean by posting stuff about recipes?
Yeah, so I do. I think a big part of what we do is making sure that we're a product of the product. So our diet's not perfect in my house, but we do try to eat a more low carb lifestyle. So when I find a recipe and then I kind of make it my own, maybe I change some things, I make it towards my family's taste, then I'll share that. Hey, I found this recipe and I adapted it. My family loved it this way. And I'll share a picture of my actual plate that I made, not just something I found on Pinterest and then went and spammed into a group, right? So I try to make sure that it's authentic to me and what we're doing in our home, what we're eating, those kind of things. So then I'll share the recipe and engage with people that way.
I love it. I love it. I'm just reading some of the comments in the chat here. And Carrie, thanks for all the value you're providing in the chat. Really appreciate that. Lots of good stuff in there. So one of the things that Melissa just uncovered is the power of food. And here's what's neat. I want everybody to be authentic, right? So if you don't eat keto, you don't eat low carb, that's fine. You don't have to post about keto and low carb eating. However, if you do, which I'm guessing is a majority of us, there is a fantastic opportunity to share about that, because everybody who's following you is also looking at feeling better. They're looking for, man, I've put on all this extra fluff during the quarantine stuff. How do I get it off? They're looking for ideas. Like the reason that the Keto Dad page that we've created has been successful is because we provided a simple solution to their problem. Their problem was they couldn't figure out what to eat. And when I make food live, they're like, oh, I want to eat that. And they go bananas about it. So if you want the simplest way to attract your friends to what you're doing, make fun food and eat it. If you need recipe ideas, you can always look at anything we do and just put it up there, write it. I don't care. Just have fun with it. So that's an absolutely, it's almost paramount. If you post about your food once or twice a day, it's easy to do that on your story. Hey, you just had a Jimmy John's sandwich. You took a picture of it, you put in your story. Hey, you just made a low carb dessert and it was delicious. You take a picture of it, you write what you did in your post and you post it. Next thing you know, you do that consistently, right? Consistently. If you're doing that every day, every other day, before you know it, the friends that are following you are like, oh yeah, he's got all the great keto recipes. I always look at your page for what I go to have for dinner, right? If you become that beacon of hope in their food, in their eating, next thing you know, they want to know what you're drinking because you've helped them feel good. You see the shift there from just sharing about your life to creating some sort of value? That's an easy place to do it. If you're somebody that's a workout nut, you love to work out, you love different exercise, talk about it, post about it, share about it. And then as you're doing that, inspire others in the process to do the same thing. So thank you so much, Melissa, for sharing on that. Let's see, Stephanie, I'd love for you to share how you grow your friends list every day. Maybe it's similar to Melissa, or maybe there's some different things that you're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. It is a lot because I like hers because I followed you and a lot of the other people. I just engage with new people, but I add at least 5 new people every day. Now I'm up to 5,000. When I first started, I had a few hundred. So I cycle through those. I go through them and see, if I have anything in common, and I just kind of add new ones. And then I also do go in groups a lot. I am in some keto groups and pug groups and hiking groups, and I go in and just engage and share, my story, like, hey, I have my ketones, I'm going on a hike or whatever it is. And I just engage with them. And once we engage, I friend them and then I let them follow me. And so I've had, sometimes people say, hey, I see that you friended me. And then we just kind of chat that way. We share about each other and build a relationship that way. But yeah, I go engage on a lot of different people's of my current friends and see if we have mutual friends, and build a relationship that way as well.
Awesome. So the key to, so remember, it's post, grow, engage. We're talking about grow right now. The key to grow is just doing it consistently. It's not going and adding 100 friends today. It's adding 3 or adding 5. But if you do that every day over the course of a month, you've added 100 new friends. Over the course of the year, you went from 200 friends to now you have 1,400 friends because you added 1,200 new friends. If you do it in small chunks like that, and then you follow the next step, you're going to find that you actually create a relationship and you create engagement with those friends. So the next step is engage. And Ashley, talk to us a little bit about what it means to engage and why this is so important in Facebook land.
Okay, so Facebook wants you to have a relationship with people just like you would in person. So the easiest way to think about it is if you were talking to me, Nick, in person, I would respond back, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so that's the whole key with Facebook. It's the same exact thing. So if you put up a post and someone says, oh, I like that, think of something that you can say back to engage with them so that Facebook, recognizes that and, oh, they're friends. So example, can you tell I'm hands-on? I always struggle when I'm like, oh, I can't show you. But I did this silly post about teeth and turning your teeth into jewelry, which is absolutely crazy. I don't want to turn my teeth into jewelry, but I have like 173 comments on it. Everyone has an opinion on this. And so what I did is I responded to every comment. And so then that just makes the post go. So that's it.
I like it. So I see a question here. Rebecca says, how do you handle when you engage in a group and how do you start a conversation about ketones? And they tell you not to advertise. Are you in groups like that are keto? Do you talk about ketones in there? How do you bring up the subject?
Oh, me?
Yeah.
You know what? I used to be in keto groups and stuff. And then this is just for me personally, what I found more beneficial for my time was just to go through my friends list that I already have. And I start at, a letter, or you can start just wherever you want. And I try to do 15 new people a day and go comment on their posts. And so that way I'm getting like 15. If I can do more, I'll do more. But I'm seeing at least 15 new people a day in my stories. And so if you have a couple thousand friends, that gives you a lot of people to interact with.
So, and that's part of engage, which is something that we do on a daily basis. So Melissa, why don't you take us through kind of what your DMOs for engaging? What do you do on a daily basis to engage with your Facebook network?
So one of the things that I love to do is tell people happy birthday. And I do that every single day. It's one of the very first things I do when I pick up my phone. I try to not let myself just start scrolling. I try to get into the DMOs immediately because I know my kids are going to need me and I'm going to be off. And so I try to say happy birthday. And it used to be that I would just do the happy birthday in their story or the post, the thread. But now what I started doing is I just send them a personal message and I'll just say, hey, happy birthday. I hope your day is as lovely as you, or, I hope you have an amazing day. Sometimes if I'll ask a question, do you have big plans for your birthday? Something like that. Start a conversation. And what I find is that there's been several times that it has caused the person, when they've answered back, we've gotten into a conversation, and I've even had people say, I've been meaning to reach out to you. Will you tell me more about those ketones that you're sharing about? And so that's really cool because I do it every single day. It's at least anywhere from 5 to 10 people a day who have a birthday that I'm starting a conversation with. So that's one of the things that I do in my DMOs. And then like Ashley said, I do try to go through my friends list, work my way through. I try to avoid prove it people and only engage with the people that I haven't seen their posts in a long time. And I just try to not just like things, but comment. And I try to ask questions. I think asking questions is huge because that's where you get that interaction back and forth.
Awesome. Stephanie, how do you engage on a daily basis?
I also do birthdays. That's been a huge thing for me as well. Doing a post on their page, but also sending them a private message. Sometimes I'll just sing to them. I sing horrible, but I'll sing happy birthday on the voice messenger. And they, oh my gosh, thank you. And I've also had people, strike up, man, you're inspiring. I've been following you on the beach. What are that drink that you drink? So the birthdays are really huge. And it also makes them feel, special. They're like, wow, thank you for reaching out. I do go on friends' posts every day and, comment on theirs. And then I also, make an engagement post. Like if I am going to get some new hiking boots, I'll take a picture of, I already know which ones I'm going to get probably, but I take a picture of one color and another color and I post it on there and say, hey, which one should I get? Or what's your favorite color here? Or what's your favorite brand? And like 500 people like to give their opinion on these shoes. And then I go, like if they say, hey, I like the blue ones better, I'll go say, hey, why do you like the blue ones better? Why do you like that brand better? And then we'll just have a conversation within the conversation of the comment. So that creates engagement as well. And then just
Awesome.
asking questions. Yeah.
Ashley, is there anything else that you do on a daily basis for engagement?
Birthday, we said birthdays, then I go down the list, 15. I'll respond in stories. So I'll try to do at least 5 stories a day and just respond in those. And if I can do more, I'll do that.
What do you mean by respond in stories?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, you're like, what? You know how they have the little tiles and you can see them at the top on Facebook?
Yep.
So I'll just jump in there and see who all on my friends list that are non-Prove It people have posted, and I'll go respond to those. So say that they're like, oh, we ate here for dinner, and they're posting their food. I'll say, oh my gosh, how was it? Are you going to go back? Would you recommend it? Like ask a question to get some conversation going.
I like it. Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. So engaging is probably the category that has the least amount of rocket science to it, right? You can't mess it up as long as you're doing it. And you almost have to be intentional about it. You have to say, okay, I'm going to spend 15 minutes. I'm just going to engage. I'm not going to take any messages. I'm not going to take calls. I'm just going to go through and I'm going to engage. Or 5 minutes. It doesn't matter what it is. You just have to do something. Now, one of the things that I love, Ashley says, I need to go warm up my feed before I post. Tell us a little bit real quick, Ashley, about what that means.
Okay, that just means that you go comment on as many people as you can that are non-Prove It people. I keep saying 15. Everyone's probably like, what is this 15 thing? So I do 15 and I'll try to comment on 15 people. I'll take like 1 minute per post. And if you really want to get it down to where you can do it quick, go to their profile picture and their cover photo, because typically when people put those things up, those are things that are very important or special to them. So it'll make it easier for you to comment on. So
And
that's
why do you do that?
So that way when I do post, then they will see my stuff in their feed, because I've just been on their wall interacting with them.
Got it. Perfect. So there's reasoning behind all of this.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, it's 3 categories: posting, growing, and engaging, right? If you focus on those 3 things, you focus on being more authentic version of who you are, you grow your network daily, and then you engage with the people that are there. This stuff works. It's not theory. It absolutely works. The biggest thing that you can do is be consistent, because without the consistency, it doesn't work. Without the consistency, people may or may not see you. They may or may not start to develop that relationship. But with consistency over time, they absolutely are really able to get going. So I know we were on here for almost an hour, but we will be pulsing this replay I hope you guys got a lot of value out of this. We might do another Zoom where we just do like a social media Q&A, if that would be helpful, because I do know there's a lot of questions, but we could probably be on here for another 2 hours tonight if we started doing questions. We're also going to start doing in the Facebook group a social media tip of the day, which you'll be able to just kind of plug into like a little bite-sized chunk, little things that people are using or seeing that's helping them kind of move forward. So definitely stay tuned for that. Melissa, Stephanie, and Ashley, one final piece of advice to everybody watching before we sign off. Ashley, you can start.
I would say just be you. I know that sounds cheesy, but just go out and be you, because the people that you are friends with, that's what they're expecting. And if you go try to be someone else, then they're not going to follow you.
I love it. Stephanie, how about you?
Yes, that was mine too, but always be you, do you, but be excited. I mean, people in positive, people want to follow excitement. People want to follow positivity, especially during this time.
I love it. And Melissa?
I'm like, oh, hold on. Okay. I'm like totally the pot calling the kettle black here, because this is something I struggle with, but be consistent with it. I think when I back off, I start to have less engagement, I start to have less conversations, and I start to have less customers. So when I am consistent and I do it every single day, it grows and grows and grows, and it is a lot of fun.
Man, I love it. I just wrote that down. Be excited, be you, and be consistent. You just gave me a new tagline. I love it. I love it. All right. Thank you guys so much for being on. I hope you got tons of value out of this. We will be posting the replay in the group, and stay tuned for some more details as we go. Thanks for being on. Have a great night.